Welcome to Elizabeth's Spiritual Empowerment Channel. Right now, we're going to be talking about how I met my late husband. I was a member of IPHC church, and I was those children who listen to the Comforter's teachings. I did not want to have to be involved in any relationships or with boys, to be having relationship with boys. But only to find all my friends, like the girls, had their own boyfriends. So whenever we were together, it was always about, oh, my boyfriend kissed me, my boyfriend bought me a present, my boyfriend this, my boyfriend that. So I felt, where can I go? Because like everybody's doing that, and I don't want to do that. But then I decided that, okay, I must also get somebody. Because what I did not like, I just looked at it like in this manner. These girls and these boys are all, in relationships. And eventually they're going to have kids, before they even get married. And you end up marrying one of them tomorrow. And then the next thing, you have to deal with the baby mama, stories. I didn't want something of that nature in my life. I mean, after I've, listened to the Comforter. So I started praying. I said, Father, Comforter, can I also have somebody? Because at IPHC, they said you can only have somebody in the church. You cannot marry an outsider because the outsiders were called goats, dipudi. So they said you cannot marry a booty. Okay. But I prayed and I said, Comforter, I'm going to marry a booty. I want to marry a booty because inside the church, I don't see my match. I'm not saying, as people, sometimes we put ourselves in a certain class or rank. So you find that there is nobody, according to you, who matches you. Sometimes we are wrong about that. Because you might be looking down upon somebody in the church only to find that that person, when he grows up, because remember, we're still children. When they grow up, they become very responsible and they get good jobs and they change and they become, handsome and they go to the gym and they change completely. And then the very ones you picked then, you find that things are not the same. It's the other way around. Your choice today might not a good choice. Your good choice tomorrow. So that's what I'm trying to say. Is like we don't have to look down upon anybody. We mustn't look down upon anybody. As long as that person is willing and trying his best to have a job or to provide for the family as a man. So I decided to pray. Remember, I worship the Comforter, which is a man at that time. I prayed and I said, Comforter, what I want is I'm going to break the rules here. I'm going to break the rules. You say we must marry in the church, but I don't want anybody from the church. I want somebody outside. And that person must have these qualities. He must be tall. He must be light, very light in complexion. He must have dimples. Remember, I'm only a child at that stage, like 15, 16. He must be, he must have dimples. And together, I want us to be blessed with 4 sons. I had that prayer when I was 15 years old. So, indeed, it came to pass. One day, I met this guy with all the qualities. And as part of my prayer, I said, it must be somebody who loves me to bits. It must be somebody who understands me. And I too understand him. And indeed, I came, God brought the person in my life. I met the guy, he's tall. He's very light. He's got dimples. And indeed, we had 4 sons, or we have 4 sons together. I forgot to pray that, we must also live long, both of us together, so that we can age together. Now I am, on my own. In my 30s, I lost my hubby, my other half. So, but regardless, that's what I prayed for. And I got everything that I prayed for. So, but before we even got married, I remember one day when I met him, he proposed to me, and then we now together. He does not belong to our church. So I said to him, he said to me, within a week, within, like few days time, he said to me, he wants to marry me. I said, no, you cannot marry me. He said, and the following week, he sent people to pay Gaspedi, but utlo Tsibisha. Yes, he came to Tsibisha within like 2 weeks time. He sent his family to my family, and then my family, instead of them receiving, the money or the proposal, they said no. At that time, I was like 18. So my family said no to that, not because of my age, but because, remember, I finished school early. So because he did not belong to our church. But then his family said, if that's the only reason you don't want us, then we'll join your church. And indeed they did. That's how my husband came to IPHC. He belonged to his own church, but he changed to my church. Even the entire family did. So the next thing, we together, because he paid something, because when they come with the money, that was before. I don't have a child, I've got nothing. It's just that 2 weeks time, he's there, pay the money, then we go to church together. I stayed with him now. So, and we still like in the early days of our staying together. So remember I said at Vets, I was visiting Mudise, the founder of the church, on Tuesdays when I was free. At that stage, Zirbekom was not like, it wasn't like full of buildings there. It was like, a forest. It was scary. So I was going by myself, and there was no transport to the place. It was like transport that was going past the place. So you just get off and you have to walk a distance. Remember, I'm student, I don't have a car. So I had to walk a long distance by myself, and it's scary. Anything can happen there. So I asked one day, I asked my husband, not my husband, I'm not married, by the way. He just paid, that money. It's not marriage. So, and it's not even allowed. I'm not supposed to stay with him because I'm not married. So I went with him. I said, it's so scary. I'm always going there. Can you come accompany me on Tuesday, this coming Tuesday? Because it's scary and it's quite a long distance, walk. So he said, okay, I'll come with you. So he came with me one Tuesday. So when we got there, I said to him, there was a coffee shop. They broke it now. They demolished. So there was a coffee bar. I said to him, which was far away from visitory. When you visit him, there is a room which is quite far away from a coffee shop or a coffee bar. I said to him, wait here because I'm not married. If he sees that I'm having a boyfriend, it's going to be a problem. So wait here. I'll go there by myself. So he waited. Then I went, I joined the queue. There was always a queue. Quite, a number of people there, maybe 15. I joined the queue. One by one, we went in. Then it was my turn. So when I got in, like always, I said, I just came to visit you. He already knew me by now. I said, today I wasn't attending, so I just came to to visit you. Then he said, okay, fine. How are your studies? And are you coping? And are you passing? And all those. Excuse me. And then I was busy relating the stories to him. So after that, after a long, talk, I said to him, Daddy, I want to leave now. Then he said, fine. And besides, I was those skinny children. I didn't grow fast. When I was like 18 or like that year, I was turning 18. So, but I looked maybe 15, 14. My body was so small. So I told the comforter that I have to leave now. It's getting late. Then he said, bye, enjoy, blessed me, and off I went. As I was leaving the room, because he had his second in command, by the name of, let me not say names, no, let me not drop names. So he called his second in command back. He said, Ntate so and so, come here. Then, the leader, who was a second in command, came back. He said, you see that girl, call her back. I was already out. He said, call her back. I went back. And he said, sit down. I sat down. And remember, that's it. He is our God. He is our God. He's not just ordinary. He had powers to turn things around on the spot. I'm not exaggerating. People like Bushiri, Mama, they don't match him. They do not match him. Even Lechanyani himself does not match him. Because, Mudise's people were getting whatever they want on the spot without him giving you anything. There was no water. There was nothing. He used a word. Whatever he was doing, it was behind the scene. Behind the scene. He did not give us anything, for sure. So, he said, I must sit down. I sat down. He says to the guy who is second in command, he said to him, this girl brought along her boyfriend. Remember, it is far. It's like my boyfriend is far away from where we are, and there are no windows. There are no windows. So he said to him, he brought a boyfriend, and the boyfriend is there by the coffee bar, and he's leaning against the coffee bar building. He's a tall guy. He started describing him. He's a tall guy. He's light in complexion. And he's wearing 1, 2, 3. Call him. Go call him. Bring him here. And it's quite far. So he had to walk. I was waiting there. He didn't ask me anything in the meantime while we were waiting for my boyfriend. So then he went there. He brought him back. And that was him. He's like, he saw him. So he brought him back. Then my boyfriend stood up there. He didn't sit down. He stood up next to the door. And then he said to him, he stood up. The founder stood up. He was short in build. He was a very short man. And my husband, or my boyfriend of that time, was tall. And the founder was so short. So he stood up and went next to him. And he said to him, Kasetswana. And he was very cross. I was trembling. My boyfriend said, Hasimanyala. Hasimanyala? Ki? Kintshitse ke so ontsha keng ke tso mo tsebisa o mo tsebisitse ka bokae my boyfriend said the amount. Then he said, "Asitjhelete, are you working?" Remember, my boyfriend was still young too. He was also young. So he was like, at that time, he was like 23. So he was also going to school. So then he finished, and then he was only looking for a job now at that stage. Then he said, "What's a bit?" Then he said, "No." Then he started looking at him. The way he looked at him, he looked like, I don't know if it will be clear. He started from the head. He started looking at him. He looked at his hair like this. I don't know if it's going to be clear, but I'm going to try to act it out. He looked at him like top bottom. He's now looking at his arms and stuff, and then the chest, the tummy there, the thighs and the legs, and then the foot, and then up again. You know, he went up, then down, then up, then down, several times. And at that stage, he said to me, "Stand up." Remember, I was seated on the chair. He said, "Stand up." I stood up. He said, "Come stand here." I stood next to him, to my boyfriend. Then he looked at me the same way. The head, you know, when he looked at the hair, the head. Remember, I was wearing something. You can't just go to the church without, a duke. My hair was covered. So he looked at my duke, down slowly, down, down, down to the toes, and up again slowly, down and up, and then down, and him up, down, and up, down. And he was quiet. He wasn't saying a word. And then after some time, he said, "Zamumuyala, ke yena mosadi wa hao o, modimo o file yena. Zamo bereka, o monyale." Then after that, we left. Oh, I was so scared. You know, it's our God, and everybody fear him. And not everybody can, talk to him. It's like, you don't just talk to him. You don't just talk to him. He's like hard to get. So now I'm talking to him. I am trembling. I'm talking to God. And God is getting like deeper, deep. And one thing about the founder, he knew everything, but he wasn't prophesying to us. But he could tell you everything that when it's needed, only when it's needed. He will not just, and nobody could, he didn't like give his juniors, the powers to prophesy like he's done at ZCC. No, there's just no prophecy at all. But when necessary, he will tell you. Like at that stage, he was able to see my husband, my boyfriend, where he was, and then even what he was wearing. And even now he's telling us, "This is your wife, marry her." And as we left that time, he got a job. The following week, he got a job. And the very job he kept until he died. Oh, he passed away. Until he passed away. So, and then we had to get married. Then we got married. Like he said, "This is your wife." He was indeed my husband. We got married and we had a very peaceful life together. So we had four beautiful sons together. They all look like him. And it was nice. He was those loving husbands, the ones who were there for you. When you are pregnant, he washes your feet. When I come back, from work tired, I didn't expect that. He'll just put water in a tub and then wash my feet. He took care of me, and during the entire pregnancy, I do not cook, I don't do anything. He does everything for me. When I'm tired, he will just say, "Oh," he massages me. He was those, loving husbands. A baby is born, he goes with you to hospital, and the baby's there, he changes the nappies. He was a hands-on dad. His salaries, it's there. He just say, here's my salary. How do we, spend our money together? I bring mine, and then he will never steal something to anybody without me knowing about it, because I'm also a loving person. When I see a need somewhere, let's say his family needs something, I will be the first to see. When my family needs something, he'll be the first to see. So we're there for our families, both sides. So in this video, I was just trying to show you and share with you my experiences, of the founder and the way he operated. So please share with your family, share with your friends, so that it can reach as many people as possible, because I want people to belong to a church of their choice, or even to believe in any God that they love. But what I don't want to happen is somebody to say tomorrow that I did not know that is why I was worshiping man. I was lucky, not lucky per se. I was so blessed to get to know that family better than many people who were inside the church. And there were other people who were closer to the family than I was, but their eyes were closed. That is the difference between the two of us. You are closer to the family, but your eyes cannot see far. I'm not that closer, but my eyes were opened by God. So if you are still alive, say thank you to the Almighty God, because you can still change and follow Christ. Do not follow a person, any person, regardless of the powers that he has. Like in the Bible, when we look at Simon the sorcerer. Simon the sorcerer had powers. He was held in high regard by his community. But he was not serving the true living God. He was not his powers were not God's powers. The source of his power was from the kingdom of darkness. There are many people who are so powerful today, but their powers are from the kingdom of darkness, but they're taking or using the powers of darkness in the so-called churches. So what I want you to do is to know that what is it that you as a human being are you looking for? And when it comes to your soul, it's not a family matter. It's an individual matter. If your mommy is going to hell one day, it does not mean that you too must go to hell. Every single person here must choose for himself or herself. In Sotho, they say choose musketel. It doesn't have anything to do with your parents. If you choose to serve ancestors, be it. I'm not going to change you. Serve your ancestors. You are benefiting maybe spiritually, I don't know, or maybe they're assisting you financially or to cope with this life. Remember, when it comes to Christianity, our focus is not on this world. We want to dwell with our Christ one day, physically so. I mean, whether it's in a spirit form, but you want to be in the same place with him. We are already with him, but you cannot see if your eyes are not open. we are already with our Christ. We are already in heaven while we're still on earth. But your physical eyes are blurred for you to see properly now, for unless you turn around to see properly. So the reason I'm talking now, the reason I am, releasing or uploading these videos are because I want you to serve the true living God. If your mother, your parents, your family is serving idols, you are not obliged to serve idols. Serve the true living God. Even if your parents, your family is cross with you, it does not matter. Between your parents and your Father, the Almighty God, who do you value the most? As for me, everything that God says goes. Whether my parents want it or not, believe it or not, I serve the true living God. And that's what matters to me. So that's what I want you to do. Please subscribe, share with your family and friends, and comment. Comment below. And also press the subscription notification button or icon, so that you can, access this information first before everyone else. I love you, but Jesus Christ loves you more. Bye.